Shouts out BigSteve.
What's up? Welcome to another episode of The Big Brain. I'm your host, like always, BigSteve. No UFC doesn't mean we don't make any money. If you listen to me for a hot minute now, you know I love my regionals, especially when there's no UFC on. You know, I like to make money every single week. So I do think the edges are a bit bigger on these regional shows. The bookies have improved quite a bit on the UFC. So yeah, any chance I can get to tape regionals, especially Oktagon, one of my favorite cards. We did quite well. We didn't do well, but we always have good reads. Yeah, went 1-1 with two dogs last time. They did the big Trepo in the title fight, the Polish guy. So yeah, a lot of regionals this week, but I focused on this one, and I have the most bets on this card. So we'll get straight into it after the review, shall we? All right, what do we got for comments? Dix Insider. What's up, brother? Thanks for listening. So last week we played a bunch of things. So I had a small little play on A1 Combat, which was Duffy. You know, he fought Jackson, the only guy to beat Van in the UFC on the regionals. Barely looked into it. I saw someone on Discord playing it. I quickly looked over it. I saw Duffy was mauling everyone, really low level of comp. Good back taker. So I was like, you know, wrestler versus, you know, a good jiu-jitsu guy like this. Let me just do his background check. So he trains at Team Alpha Male, easy click, you know, $2.20. And he looked 80%. You know, he dominated Jackson, the wrestler. So only $450 one day. Obviously, I was watching a movie. It was a quick tape. Just took a little poke. So that's good. KSW was out on that week as well. One of my other favorite promotions. I ended up playing Martins at Pick'em versus Paulus. He won round one clear, wrestled him, survived the armbar from guard threat. Then round two, just got knocked out with a jab. So extremely non-durable guy with bad hitability. I thought he should be the slight favorite, but yeah, a little bit false that one. And then I had $750 on Soldayev as well, who was $2.40 plus 140 underdog to Stasiak, who was in the UFC, and he just killed him. Outstruck him round one, knocked him out round two. Looked massive favorite. So won $1,050 there. And then I played the under 2.5 rounds for $800 in the Jumbia fight against the short notice Ecuadorian. He was a massive favorite, and he got armbarred. The guy pulled guard and armbarred him straight away. So that was a big upset, but easy money under. Won $444 there. So won $745 there. Pretty much half a unit on A1 and KSW, which put me 1,500 up, 1 unit. And then UFC was our first loss of the year. Unfortunately, you know, had Jimmy Flick to start off, won 1,300 there, half a unit. The fight went exactly as predicted. Should have been a bigger bet, to be honest, but I was just freaked out by the line movement. Even made a reel about that bet, how confident I was. Then Johan, I mean, you know, pathetic bet on Johan Linus. I gave, you know, him and Semsberger and, you know, someone else I'll talk about next, a chance at the beginning of the year. You know, these slight favorites, you know, with untrustworthy guys, my worst ROI. But yeah, I won't be doing that anymore. You know, I was looking to live bet as well. He even hurt him at the start and then just fell apart. So something's wrong with Johan mentally. This is not the same guy that, you know, knocked out Burlinson and went to war with Gabe Green. He's definitely on a no play list if he's got mental issues like that. I had Julian inside the distance, half a unit to win 825. That was, you know, should have been a smash spot. You know, props to everyone hitting the KO there. Had 1,500 on Jordan, my biggest bet, a full unit, you know, to win 1,000. Lost a split. It is what it is. I thought 2 and 3 could have gone either way. You know, I did feel like there was minimal value, but I like to play these dudes that, you know, the other guy has a split decision path in Canada, which Woodson ended up getting the split decision. But yeah, you know, again, I gave Jordan a chance. He only needed a big moment in round 2 and he wins a UD, but is what it is. So I was down after that. Then I lost City Tavares, ends by KO. I had half a unit, 750 on that. I did think there was a high likely chance he would go to decision. It was a weird scenario with City not hitting hard at all, but Tavares possibly being chinny, and then Tavares hitting extremely hard, and then City being extremely durable. So I thought that could be a bit of a tilting loss. But yeah, I didn't mind it. You know, it was almost a pick'em. That doesn't go was $1.34, massively juiced. So I thought there was a ton of value on there, and I didn't really feel bad. You know, I thought I had a good bet. You know, multiple knockdowns by Tavares. He was bloodied up. You know, City was pressuring him. So Ended up a bit more in a hole there. I think 1,600 in a hole. Then I ended up playing my lot under 20 significant strikes. Half a unit to win 625. That helped a lot. That put me down on 600 loss. And then I ended up playing 1,000 on Rocky round 1 significant strikes over 15. Right, over 15. She had 30 and 20 in previous fights. Lena Landsberg hit 17 against Myra, and then Rocky starts striking, and then she instantly grapples, and she finishes on 11 strikes. That tilted me quite a lot because I knew I had a mad bet. She ended up getting 30 in the second round after the coaches said stop clinching up with her. So that pissed me off. That put me 1,600 down again. And then I ended up live betting Dricus du Plessis, $450 to win 1,160 after round 1. I thought he was clearly winning round 2. I had flashbacks of Strickland, giving up the rounds against Hermanson, backing up too much. He can't really fight on the back foot. So yeah, I was happy with that bet. I ended up 455 down. And, after some bad bets on Johan and Jordan, that felt like a win because still had a profit with KSW and A1. So, left a bit of money on the table for both of the UFCs. And, I really wanted to start better, but I'm not going to complain. A bit over $3,000 up. And, yeah, we'll keep going. It is what it is. Never going to complain about profit. Brendan Lewis, thanks for listening, sir. I cashed Sheen 150 strikes at stupid odds. Yeah, I didn't tape that fight, so I didn't touch anything till live. But yeah, there were some good significant strikes there. Working on a public holiday, Steve, dedicated. Always working late. Every day is a public holiday for me when you sit at home, tape fights for a living. All right, let's get into this card, shall we? Daniel Brandage, Hamza, Dagdeviren is the first fight. So I only just perused over this fight. Daniel is a massive favorite, $1.35. I get it. He has the better record, 2-0. And, his amateurs are decent, but this is a clear doggo pass. This Hamza guy seems like a decent striker. I was watching his amateur tape, Gamma, European Championships. Yeah, seems to be a slick striker. Not very dangerous. He got submitted once and he got decisions in another fight. And then both these fights are behind the paywall, which, $7 each ends up being $14 all up. One of these guys that beat him, Hugo Vach, knocked him out. He's a decent guy. I taped him when I played this Serbian guy in KSW. But yeah, 1-1, and this Daniel guy is 2-0. His amateur record is a bit better, 6-2. But he's not fighting anyone either, right? And he's got finished with rear naked choke and he got finished by KO in his only amateur losses. And then absolute, warm bodies, 0-1 and 1-4 in his pro fight. He's a southpaw. He seems to be athletic. He's obviously younger. Seems like a setup fight, but I mean, two unproven guys. If anything, I'll play Hamza, but I have to see, do I want to pay the $14? I've paid more before, but we'll see. It's a clear doggo pass and a pass for me at the moment. So let's move on. Alrighty. JQ versus McHugh versus Armand Herczeg. So this is a rematch. All right, for those of you that don't know, these guys fought on Challenger Series, which is like an Ultimate Fighter thing that Oktagon did. And yeah, bit of a cringe show. Props to Pierce for pointing out to me that they did fight. McHugh, he's an English dude, and I kind of regret not playing him in the last fight. He's kind of like a Jimmy Flick. His money line is essentially his submission line. He constantly keeps coming forward, goes for takedowns, pulls guard. He's a bit non-physical, which is exactly like Flick, but his bottom game is very good. He's got great triangles. And he eventually just breaks dudes. He keeps coming forward and he engages in grappling and he breaks him. And that's what he did to his last opponent when he was an underdog in Oktagon. Herczeg, I don't know what to say about Herczeg. He's the bigger guy. He might have a physicality edge. Awful takedown defense. And he gets taken down a lot, looks to scramble, and he's been submitted a bunch. And yeah, $1.62 on McHugh. I went to lock it in, and Pierce said these guys fought. I looked at the fight, and essentially McHugh dived into a guillotine against Herczeg, which I think was a bit of a fluke. I was surprised by that. I thought Hugh would, stay quite safe because I wasn't really impressed with Herczeg's ground game. as I said, he's been submitted a bunch. And yeah, I mean, I was surprised at $1.62. So I locked in at 1.5 units on McHugh. He's saying in interviews he's going to be a lot more patient. They were practicing guillotine defense in his camp, which a lot of times that means nothing. It is what it is. But even before I knew that they fought, I thought McHugh could take him down at will and eventually submit him off the top or on the bottom, kind of like Michael Gordon scenario, Jimmy Flick. So yeah, providing it doesn't get guillotined again, I think there might be some advantages for Herczeg. He might be the more physical guy, but at some point I just think he's going to get submitted. So I give McHugh 70% here, and he's definitely a cocky type of guy that thinks he can survive submission attempts, which is what got him caught the first time. So as long as he doesn't do that, he should have a submission win here. Alrighty. So Roman Paulus, Nathan Haywood. Another fight I didn't go too deep into just because massive juiced odds and I left it till last. But I know Roman well. A few people in my Discord, a few people I know were playing him at Pick'em over his last opponent, Arjan Topaj, which, seemed like a bit of a fraud, submission, gassy fraud guy. And there wasn't much tape. I taped it at Pick'em. I ended up passing. Can't remember why. Just, something seemed off. And in the end, Roman got submitted. So, good pass there, but he ended up hitting his sorry, my thing's frozen. I'm just going to reset. It's very annoying. All right. My bad. That was annoying. Screen frozen. It was driving me crazy. What is this rubbish? Where's my damn... Alrighty. Sorry about that, guys. Just technical difficulties. Every now and this rubbish freezes on me, and then people can still hear me, but I can't click anything. So yeah, I ended up passing on Paulus in his last fight, and he got submitted instantly. He's a very technical guy, very young. He passes the eye test, so I understand why his line is so juiced. But I mean, again, two unproven guys, just like the first fight. Well, not unproven. Paulus is proven 8-4 decent record, but I mean, this line is not really worth it. He's usually a decision machine. He fights close. This Nathan Haywood guy, Lou Red, he has a lot of submissions. He's a guillotine kind of guy, but he's a karate dude as well. So I mean, just perusing this fight, I watched it, and he has a lot of IMFFF, amateur fights as well. So yeah, he hasn't been finished much. Yeah, I felt like this is a clear dogger pass. May come around to fading him. But we'll see. I got to look into this one and the first one a bit more. They seem like setup matches, but yeah, $1.30, man. They'll have like 80%. So easy dogger pass. I'm passing for the time being. We'll see. At least Haywood's fights are not behind the paywall. So, alrighty. Next fight: Široký versus Denis Frimpong. Another interesting fight. Taped John for the first time last time when I was looking to play his opponent Stefan, and went deep into Denis Frimpong's tape. Frimpong was on that Challenger Series, Oktagon Challenger Series that they set up like Ultimate Fighter, and he ended up in a final, and he got mauled against George Steins, a decent wrestler, black belt. was throwing him around all Oktagon and just finished him with the guillotine choke. Personally, this fight is a bit of a crapshoot. I thought I would like Frimpong as a decent underdog. Not a decent underdog, 220 plus 120 underdog. He's got a nice game. He's got good striking. It's quite long. He switches stances, good kicks, fights long. He can be taken down, but he's got a decent submission game and get-ups. He's got some nice reversals. He's fought the who's who on his average Irish scene. He beat Solomon Simon, who's in Cage Warriors, doing well now. Aaron McDonald, who's also on the Challenger Series. But he also fights close. Especially if he's going to give up takedowns. This Široký dude, he's like the king ape on all the steroids. He's got quite a salty record, but he's going to fight for your money. He doesn't quit. He's a berserker. You can take him down, but you can't hold him down. He's very explosive, and he breaks a lot of these dudes with constant pressure. The Stefano Caglio fight that I was looking to fade him in his last one, that came down to the wire. He got taken down in the first. He took Stefano down in the second, and he was just mauling him, and then he got backpacked in the third, and he even got out, and then he got taken down again. So I don't think Frimpong has that kind of wrestling. He's more of a jiu-jitsu dude. He lacks physicality, so he might have advantage on the feet, but I assume Široky's going to close the distance. He hits harder, so this is just a crapshoot fight, as I said. And even though he's still slight dog money on Bet365 and it's closed up on BetOnline, I'm not feeling it. Let's move on. Alrighty, let's move on to another bet that I have. Corey Frey versus Max Holzer. So this is not just my play. This seems to be a public play. Someone I really respect in the Discord ended up getting Max Holzer, slight dog money, and that made me look into it. And then shortly afterwards, Peace played him as well. I don't usually like these public dogs, or public plays in general. But sometimes it's different. Sometimes it's the side. So I'll take Holzer for the first time. He is a short, stocky wrestler dude. Southpaw, comes forward. He eats one to take one, and he's quite a decent wrestler, to be honest. Gets in on the hips. He shows good educational guillotine defense as well. Always goes to the other side. A lot of times he picks up and slams dudes, so they let go of the guillotine. And kind of like German Ricky Simone. He breaks dudes over time. His control is not the best, and he just rinses and repeats, and eventually gets submissions, or he just wins a decision. Corey Frey, pardon me. This guy made his debut in his last fight. Didn't get a chance to tape his fight. He ended up armbarring Denis Ilbay as a decent-sized dog. He's predominantly a striker. He has a lot of KOs. Rips the body. He's quite technical in and out. I like his game, to be honest, but he's got tall man defense. Denis was lighting him up. Denis is a good kickboxer, though. If I ever know, he's 22 and something as a kickboxer. Or boxer, I should say, not a kickboxer. So it makes sense that he was lighting him up, but, Corey Frey's chin held up. And then Corey Frey, initiated grappling and put him through a series of submission attempts and ended up getting an armbar, triangle armbar, which is quite decent. But, he's got that to fall back on as well. But his issue is grappling, takedown defense, should I say. He's obviously lost the title fight to Liam McCracken on amateurs 2019, kept getting taken down and getting up. He's got a bunch of submission losses, 1, 2, 3, 4 on amateurs, and his only pro loss is a submission. That amateur loss, that pro submission loss was a horrible look. Nicholas Pirogan, 3-2 dude, he was lighting him up, hit him with boxing, and then you could just see Pirogan just decided to stop backing up and started throwing. He started cracking Fry because of his tall man defense, and then all hell ensued, and grappling started getting involved, and Fry just looked like he was done. He started gassing and ended up tapping to a rear naked choke that wasn't even in. He was escaping out of the rear naked choke. There was no hooks, and he was on the side, and then he just tapped. So there was complete quit job from Corey Frey, which is why I understand people are fading him. I have 1.5 units on Holzer at Pick'em. He's now minus 200, so I'm definitely not going to keep 1.5. I don't like his hitability. In this fight against Alexander Luster, who last was pretty decent. You know, he was 5-0 at the time. I think he's like 10 and something now. He was getting hurt in round 1 and, you know, had to come back and was kind of getting cracked in round 2, and then he hit a takedown, and round 3 he dominated. So it could be that kind of fight, you know, where Fry is getting big moments, you know, hitting him, rocking him, if he doesn't knock him out. And then because Holzer also has bad control, it could be like a damage versus control type of thing. So I didn't go, you know, I'm definitely going to reduce because of that. I'm not going to have 1.5 units on a pick and fight like this. But ultimately, I ended up playing it just because I feel like Corey Fry has more red flags. You know, the tall man defense, the takedown defense, the cardio potentially as well. All his KOs are over 0-3, 0-0, 2-4, 12-6. You know, and his submission was over a 5-0 guy, but he's a boxer, right? So he doesn't really have takedown. He doesn't really have a ground game. So there's a lot more red flags on Corey Fry, and obviously the longer this fight goes, Max Holzer should just maul him with the wrestling. You know, round 3, he's his best round. But even in his last round against Mohamed Valid, you know, 6-2 guy, you know, he got hurt to the body as well, and then he had some issues, and then round 2 he took him down and rear naked choked him. He had a layoff since then. That was almost a year ago in 2023, and he missed weight, had some health issues after that, and then now he's moving up in weight. So he's young, maybe moving up in weight increases his durability, but I'm going to watch the weigh-ins, probably keep like 2/3 of a unit, you know, $1,000 to win, you know, over 1,000, something like that, because I'm going to hedge. But yeah, I think Holzer has the wrestling upside. I've never seen Holzer quit. You know, I've never seen him knocked out. I've seen him hurt. So he's the younger guy here, providing Fry doesn't run through him with a KO. Yeah, he has big favorite upside. They both do. But yeah. Alrighty. This Shao Biasu fight, Castle is off. It's not happening. Yusuf is injured. Alrighty. Adam Paulus versus Stuart Austin. Interesting fight. Yeah. Adam Paulus is a decent striker. He's got some power. He's fought a decent level of competition, you know, 9-2. Pressures forward, strikes, he's relatively durable. He's got good takedown defense as well. When he gets taken down, he gets up straight away. His only 2 losses, you know, Dimitri Pobrzec, who was 24-5 at the time. That guy's a beast. I looked through his record. He's one of those beastly ACA Ukrainian guys. He knocked him out in round 1. And you could tell, you know, Paulus was scared the whole time. Some of his fights, his fights on his record are not the best. You know, Tadai, Donald Sausage. This Sofane is a decent one. You know, Sofane beat Aspinall back in the day. He uses wrestling there. He's just a well-rounded heavyweight with power. You know, Stuart Austin, never been a fan of this guy. Extremely chinny, extremely flaky. You know, he's also fought the who's who. You know, he's fought Godpia, Dalcha, Walker, Erokin, you know, Henan Ferreira, Bruno Capilloza in PFL. And, you know, the one thing he has common with all of those guys, they've all knocked him out. Right. So some of those were, you know, the Dalcha fight, he was on top and then he just flaked in round 2 and just gave up. So his durability is extremely awful. You know, he's a judoka and his path is wrestling here. Even when he fought Sofian Bogchu in which is a common opponent for both of them, he went to split decision because, you know, he was taking him down and then he was getting caught in Kimura's getting reversed and, you know, made a meal of it. And then in his Oktagon debut, they gave him John Winter, 5-2 guy who's awful, and he just wrestled him for 3 rounds. And then he got on the mic saying he's the new future of the Oktagon and all this rubbish. Yeah, he's not that good, man. He's got a wrestling path here, but like I said, Adam has get-ups. He's probably going to break him in rounds 2 and 3, knock him out potentially. But yeah, -200 for this, you know, heavyweight fight. Kind of not interested. That one fight of Adam against Donald Sausage, who was 3-0 at the time, this Croatian dude, he was getting rinsed and repeat wrestled for a while. And that Donald guy, you know, he's 5-1 now. He seems decent, even though his record's his level of competition is a bit average. He seems decent. And Donald ended up getting injured. All right, so who knows how that fight would have played out? But he was throwing Adam around. But yeah, I don't think Stewart can do that for 3 rounds and not get knocked out. But yeah, the line is just a bit crap on Adam, so I'll pass. Speaking of crap lines, Aaron Abbey versus Christopher Daniel. I had one of my favorite bets on Aaron Abbey as a dog in the last fight against Garcia. He looked to be dominating him. He got hit with one knee in round 1, and he got cut open, and the doctor stopped it. So that's one of those variance things that you can't really control. I had him up 3 rounds to 0, and he was going to maul him pretty much. And now I think this might be like a thank you. They're giving him this. They fished out this Christopher Daniel guy who I've never heard of in my life. All combat night pro, combat capital guy, and yeah, he's awful. He's a black dude. He's athletic. Aaron Abbey's not really someone that you can parlay or play at these bad odds because he's not very physical himself. But he'll keep coming. He will get takedowns. He's got great cardio. He's got heart. This Daniel dude has awful takedown defense. He's been knocked out. His team said a chin issue. He's literally a submission or bust kind of guy off his back. And Aaron Abbey's already fought a better guy in Garcia with better jiu-jitsu, and he was mauling him. So if they open up totals, I'm going to look at some unders. I think Abbey can actually finish this dude. So let's move on. Let's not waste any more time. Alrighty. Speaking of juice lines, Mate Panes versus Matthew Bonner. I know some people playing Panes here. Not Panes, Matthew Bonner. I get it. Bonner, in his Oktagon debut, they gave him another kickboxer, a keeper. And he won 29-28. But watching that fight for the first time, a bit underwhelming. Kepa wanted to grapple him for some reason, and he got gassed out doing it. And he honestly, he was getting taken down by the kickboxer. And yeah, Bonner it's hard for me to back. I get the play. Panez is a kickboxer predominantly, and he's been held up against the cage a bunch in his Oktagon career. And then when he's gone to Contender Series, he got submitted by Cedric Damas, which that's a red flag. I think that was a bit of a fluke as well. I get it, and Bonner, he's durable, has never been knocked out, and he will wrestle for 3 rounds. So I completely get it, but I just couldn't come around to it. I think his physicality is bad. He doesn't have any power. His striking usually looks good when his opponents gas out, and Panaz has round 3 KOs. He might be able to be held up against the cage for a bit, but he does get round 3 KOs. Knocked out Kona in round 3. Had a decision over Melillo. So even if he doesn't get knockouts, the guy has power late. I think he's matured a bit after coming back from that loss. He's just got crazy power, crazy ground and pound. And, even though Bonner hasn't been knocked out, he was hurt by a keeper with a knee. So, yeah, I don't have a strong take here. Maybe Bonner can get a rear naked choke on him. His best chance is when Panaz makes a mistake on the ground like he did against Dumas. That's his path. But, yeah, on the feet, Panaz is just going to be live to drop him, to hurt him, to win like a clear moments-based decision. And I can't back anyone that's lost a clear unanimous decision to Darren Stewart, not long ago. So yeah, it's a pass for me at the moment. I know obviously someone's smashed this Matthew Bonner line, probably lucrative. It felt like his kind of player. I had a feeling he was going to play it, but yeah. Look at some over-unders. We'll see. Hopefully they open up over-unders. But at the moment, I can't play it. I feel like even if I know people jumping on Panaz now that the line is closed up, even then, he could make a mistake on the ground, So a pass for me at the moment. Riding High, what's up? What's up, dude? Thanks for listening. Grobart, I got Bonner at $5.75, but the Oktagon star building narrative in Panaz scares me. Also, the Mello fight made me doubt Bonner's winning path. Panaz cardio and clinch look good enough there. Yeah, I just think Bonner's drawing thin, man. I've never been impressed with Bonner. Like, he usually just beats these dudes that get tired. And I think 5-round aspect for Bonner was perfect in Cage Warriors. A lot of these dudes were beating him and then they would break in round 4 and 5. So yeah, it's a tough fight for him. Over would be the play. Yeah, I thought that, but then it's all price dependent. I mean, I could definitely see Panaz being the first to knock out Bonner. All right, and let's move on to the main event. All right. Quite a high-level fight, this. High-level fight. Good regional dudes. Jonas Mågård versus Jack Cartwright. Cartwright was on the Contender Series, 15-6 versus 11-1. Great fight. Only issue is, can't really get an accurate read at this line. First, I thought I was going to be playing Mågård at Pick'em. I know Cartwright well. He's a bit underwhelming to me. I think he's a bit overrated. He was on Contender Series, or I faded him as a massive favorite over Jose Johnson. He's good at wrestling. He's got good chokes and submissions. He's a pressure boxer, has decent power. But, the longer the fight goes, he ends up gassing a bit, and he gives up position a lot, submission over position. That's how Jose Johnson ultimately beat him. And, the Sylvester Miller fight before that, he was losing that fight. Round one, and then kept falling off, losing position, and Miller is a gritty wrestler. He was surviving the submission attempts, and he ended up, I swear he won 2, 3, and 4. But he won via DQ because Miller kept headbutting him. So that was a red flag there too. And then they gave him a bum in his Oktagon debut, who he just submitted quickly. So my read was, Jonas is going to come forward. He's got great cardio. If he doesn't get submitted, he's going to end up on top because he mixes in wrestling himself. And then, Jack is just going to end up playing bottom like usual. But then, I went deep into Mågård's game, and, he can be taken down. He has been submitted by Franz Miambo. He's been submitted a bunch in his early career, which, I don't want to hold too much stake in that. But yeah, he's a bit of a homer. He comes forward a lot and he gets hit a lot. His chin holds up. But yeah, he can be taken down. He can be put in bad positions on the ground. We've seen Felipe Lima do that to him. That was one of my favorite bets last year. I played Lima at $3.30 plus 230. Gave it out to the Discord. Really should have been a bigger bet. Looked a massive favorite. He had his back taken there. Put in some bad spots, which Cartwright can do as well. But he scrambled out. He survived. He didn't get submitted. So I just feel like this could be a grapple-heavy, scrambling fight. Both crack. Both have good chins. Mågård has a good right hand, pressure. It's hard to trust someone that eats one to take one at Pick'em. If this was a 5-rounder, yeah, Mågård would be an easy play because I definitely think he would break Jack Cartwright down the stretch. But I feel like I'm forcing it at Pick'em. I watch his fight with Elnar Valiev, and he's getting taken down there quite a bit. He's reversing it. It's competitive up until he gets a guillotine. Again, I think Jack Cartwright has elite submission defense despite all his flaws. So I don't think he's going to submit Jack Cartwright with a guillotine. If anything, I think Cartwright is more live to submit him. So back and forth, competitive fight. They hate each other as well. So no real lean here. Maybe look at the over and just fade Cartwright sub. Maybe the under is good juiced because they think Cartwright could finish him. But we'll see. Competitive fight. This would be a great live bet fight. I don't think I will have a live bet, so I'm not going to force it. So I'll pass on it. It's a good fight though. Good fight. What do we have here? Richard V. As a viewer, this kind of sucks. All the lines have become unplayable. What is the point of the podcast, really? Well, the point of the podcast is the breakdowns, my friend. It's the breakdowns. Right? There's nothing on, so we're going to break something down. Riding high. By the way, Richard, if you wanted the plays early, you know where to find them, sir. This is just free content at the end of the week. Riding high. Am I right in thinking Cartwright looks like he has the better scrambles? His Dana Contender Series fight with Jose was impressive. He's definitely a good scrambler. But yeah, so is Mågård. It's a tough fight, man. It's a tough fight. They both have issues with being comfortable scrambling when they really should hold top position. Grobar CK, UFC next week looks fire betting wise. What do you like next week, sir? I already locked in Carlos Prates over Trevin Giles for 2 weeks' time. Not even next week. I always love the chance to fade Giles. What's next week? I'll do an early podcast for next week as well. Next week. I have Lee. Over Black Builder. I've been on Black Builder over Young as a dog and massive dog on Contender Series. So I'm jumping off ship here. I think Lee has potential, big favorite upside. Even though Builder's my boy. London, yeah, I taped it. I ended up passing. I don't know. It was. I usually pass on those competitive striking fights. What do we got? Canones, yeah, I considered Canones. It was definitely a dog pass for me, but I felt like Medeiros is better everywhere. I taped Starilenko, Carolina, Lee. As I said, I'm on Lee. I didn't look at Grimbo, didn't look at McCann. Radke Urbina, I'm considering a play there. I taped Kizria Muradov, passing at the moment. Moikan Odobo is just a clear pass. Cannot get anything there that I want to play. Yeah. Groba, the Contender dude had an easy layup with the Chechen cutting that much. Which Contender, man? You mean Kizriev had an easy layup? Yeah, Kizriev has not had a good win on his record. Yamamoto is his best win, and if he beats Muradov, that'll be his best win in his career. So it's tough to gauge his skill level. Plus, he's had an injury as well, a knee injury. Alrighty, that's it. So, quick little overview. Bainbridge versus Hamza, dog or pass, might come around to it. Jake McHugh, I played McHugh for 1.5 units, $1.60. I mean, $1.44 on Bet365. There might still be some value. I think he gets a submission and pretty high clip. Roman Paulus versus Haywood, dog or pass again. Široký, Frimpong, dog or pass. Can't really play the fight though. Corey Fry versus McHugh. I played Holzer. I pick him. I think he should be a favorite. 1.5 units I'll reduce. Adam Palaz, Stuart Austin. Maybe you can parlay this guy. I'm close, but I don't know who I'm going to parlay him with. Aaron Abbey versus Christopher Daniel. Abbey should smash him. Panaz, Bonner. I'll get the dog shots, but yeah, I'm leaning Panaz. KO or a moment's best decision. And Mågård, Cartwright. I'm leaning Mågård, but I feel like I'm forcing it to pick him. We'll see. But that's about it. So yeah, 2 bets. There's a bunch of parlay pieces. There's a bunch of dogs I'm going to look into some more. And, probably post them on Twitter. Or definitely post them on Discord. Like and subscribe. Thanks for listening in and good luck on your bets. Peace out.